Joe.
Jack.
How you doing?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I said, are we soon?
Okay, I'll double check.
Everybody right?
I am.
Okay. Call the meeting on January 3rd to the quarter. Will you all please rise for the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Colby, present. Attorney Genesi,
Present.
Supervisor Nesbit,
Here.
Councilman Abbott.
Here.
Councilman Dean.
First off, I'd like to wish everyone a very happy New Year as we get off the first town board meeting of the year. We're wishing for a positive year this year. We have a lot of things to work on. Our sidewalk project is still in progress. Sandbar project, we'll have a meeting the end of this month on that. There's some more open space going in, and we continue to work on the tax rate and keeping that steady so we can provide the services that everyone needs. First thing on tonight's agenda is the town board appointment of Mr. John J. Cahill. This is an appointment because of a resignation by Alicia Mazo, who ran for and was successful as a Monroe County Family Court judge, and she won in the November election. So she had to she cannot serve in both capacities. She gave up her seat as a town councilwoman, and town board has selected Mr. John J. Cahill as her replacement. Mr. Cahill will be on the board for this year, and then will have to run in November of 2019 for a 4-year term. So at this point in time, I would like to call up Mr. Terry Borgier. I think that got there, Bourgeois, okay. Presiding to swear in John Cahill at the podium along with his wife.
It's not.
I, John Cahill,
I, John Cahill,
do solemnly swear that I will support
that I solemnly swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Webster Town Councilman,
the duties of Webster Town Councilman,
so help me God.
so help me God.
There's no minutes for this evening, so we'll start right in with 2 public hearings that we have. We have to consider the formation of the Tall Bird Subdivision Drainage District as an extension of the town of Webster's Consolidated Drainage District. Anything on this, Jeff?
No, this is the project up on Webster Road, north by the lake, and it's a standard practice for any new subdivision.
Is this Mr. Philip Holmes?
Pardon me?
Is this Philip Holmes?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is.
All right. Standard drainage district. Whereas resolution was adopted by the town board of the town of Webster on the 6th day of December 2018, establishing the date, time, and place of the public hearing. Whereas a map, plan, and report relating to the establishment of an extension of the town of Webster's Consolidated Drainage District. Whereas a notice of public hearing was published in the Webster Herald on the 19th day of December 2018. Whereas each of the owners and the developer of the lands constituting a taxable real property encompassed within the property proposed district were given notice of the public hearing by regular mail sent to their last known residents. Whereas the said extensions will encompass 27 parcels on 15.9 acres of land, representing part of tax parcel number 050-010-03-30. Yes. I didn't do that yet. Okay. Proposed action is unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, that all property and property owners within the proposed extension shall be benefited thereby, that all the property and property owners benefited are included within the limits of the proposed extension, that it is a public interest to establish the extension, that the cost of any improvement, including the construction cost of acquisition of lands, easements, and engineering fees, and all expenses to be the cost and expense of RB Land Company LLC, Stephen Philip Holmes, the owner and the developer of the Tall Birch Subdivision Drainage District. This being the public hearing, I open the public hearing for anybody that would like to speak on this topic. Seeing nobody, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the town board. Any discussion? Seeing none, I will finish my motion that the establishment of the extension set forth in the map of the proposed extension to the Consolidated Drainage District, the plan and the report thereof be approved, that the requested improvement be constructed and the necessary easements be acquired upon the required funds being made available and provided, and such district shall be known and designated as the Tall Birch Subdivision Drainage District and shall be bounded and described as follows. We will insert the drainage map into that. This is the resolution of the town board establishing an extension to the town's consolidated drainage district and is subject to a permissive referendum pursuant to Article 7 of the New York State Town Law.
Second.
Thank you.
Supervisor Nesbit?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Crystal?
Aye.
Councilwoman Contaldi? Aye.
Okay, moving on to the second public hearing to consider the formation of the Winding Creek Woods Drainage District as an extension of the town of Webster's Consolidated Drainage District. Anything different on this one, Mr. Benway?
This is the new luxury apartment complex that is going on off of Harbor Road. Again, we created the district to help cover some of the drainage impacts associated with new construction.
Hard Road, is this Abigail?
Yes.
Okay. Abigail Lane where CDS is? Okay. This being a public hearing, I'll open the public hearing for any comments on this Winding Creek Woods Drainage District as an extension of the town of Webster's Consolidated Drainage District. Seeing no one, we'll bring it back to the board, close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for comment. Can I take this one, Bill?
Yeah, it's standard procedure to do these. Whereas a resolution was adopted by the town board of town of Webster on the 6th day of December 2018, establishing date, time, and place of this public hearing to be held at the town of Webster, and notified all interested persons and the subject to action required by law. Whereas a map plan and report relating to the establishment of the extension of the town of Webster's consolidated water district prepared by Pastoral Associates has been filed with the town clerk in accordance with Article 12A of town law. Where a notice of the public hearing was published in the Webster Herald on the 19th of December 2018 and posted on the town bulletin board at 1000 Ridge Road, Webster, New York. Whereas each of the owners and developer of the lands constituting the taxable real property encompassed within the proposed district were given notice of this public hearing by regular mail sent to their last known residences. Whereas said extension will encompass two parcels on 47.65 plus or minus acres of land representing part of tax parcel numbers 079.08-1-14 and 079.11-1-9.2 as shown on a map with the project number 201-41988.0002 prepared by Pastoral Associates and dated June 18th. Whereas the town board has received and reviewed the environmental assessment form and the notice of the hearing was published and posted as required by law. If the owner developer of the tracts and parcels of land within the drainage district has been notified as well by mailing of notice of public hearing. The proposed action is an unlisted action under State New York Environmental Quality Review Act. The town of Webster has assessed the potential environmental significance of the proposed actions. That same will not have a significant effect on the environment based on criteria established by New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. The relationships thereto, as such, the town board of the town of Webster has issued a declaration of non-significance for such proposed actions. That all property owners within the proposed extension shall be benefited thereby. That all the property and property owners benefited are included within the limits of the extension, and that it is public interest to establish the extension. Maximum amount to be expended for the establishment of the extension of the consolidated district is $0. The cost of any improvements, including construction costs, cost of acquisition of lands, easements, legal, engineering fees, and all other expenses to be expense of MC Webster Land LLC by David Christa, the owner and developer of Winey Creek Woods Drainage District as an extension to the town of Webster Consolidated District. That the establishment of the extension set forth on the map of the proposed extension and consolidated district and plan thereof be approved, that the requested improvements be constructed and necessary easements be acquired upon the required funds being made available and provided, that such district shall be known as designated as Winding Woods Creek Subdivision Drainage District and shall be bounded as described in the included map. The resolution of the town board establishing the extension of town consolidated district is subject to a progressive referendum pursuant to Article 7 of New York State Town Law.
Second. Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Capaldi? Aye. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Supervisor Coonerty?
Aye. And that concludes our two public hearings for this evening. Next we have open to the floor. For anyone that would like to speak on any topic, you would be allowed 5 minutes. And go up to the podium there, please, and give your name and address. Anyone like to do that?
John Hutchings, Gravel Road. I wanted to speak on behalf of many Webster residents who are disappointed in the selection of John Cahill as Webster Town Council person. During the election of 2017, Mr. Cahill was very active on social media, even self-identified as a troll, bullied, invaded my personal privacy of my Facebook page, just exhibited behavior very unbecoming of an elected or appointed official. And I would like to ask, and I FOIL requested it today, so if that's your answer, I've already done that. But what was the selection process, and how was it that you looked across the many, many talented people here in Webster and came up with John Cahill as a replacement? for Councilperson Mazo. Mr. Nesbitt, I'm directing the question toward you.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
You can sit down. Anyone else?
Megan Thompson, 1624 Morley Way. My question was also regarding the appointment of Councilman Cahill, and curious to know if I could understand, obviously, Councilwoman Mazo is no longer part of the town board, but understanding for each person on the town board, obviously disregarding Mr. Cahill, what the vote was for Mr. Cahill's appointment.
Anyone else? Yeah, of course, no, not yet. Not yet. It's the third day of the new year, and I find myself already defending myself and other town board members over the process in selecting a town board candidate after the resignation of family court judge, Ms. Mazo. After the town board made our organizational announcement as to the choice for the town board seat, the Webster Democrats put out a social media post stating, "Without an election, Mr. Cahill will be a town board member. We need to wake up on how politics are being played in our town." I'm going to repeat that, how they're being played in our town. That statement incensed me because in my 24 years as a town board member, I've never played politics. Really? How do you play politics? Is that a board game? Is that in Walmart someplace? How do you play politics? A recent statement by the Democratic Executive Committee stated, contrary to Mr. Nesbitt's claim on his Facebook page, the Webster Democratic Committee are readily aware that the responsibility for filling a vacancy lies with the town board, and that process has occurred in many other towns as recently as November. So there it is right there. The Webster Democratic Committee knows that it's the town board's job to fill the vacancy on the town board, and we did our job and found a very qualified candidate to fill that vacancy. We did our job under the law. In fact, in the early part of November, Ms. Megan Thompson, former councilwoman in last year's election, emailed me on how to become a planning board member. I emailed her the process, which then showed up on the Democrat Facebook page, encouraging others to apply for a position. So if Mrs. Thompson can email the supervisor to find out the process, why can't the Democratic Committee do the same instead of crying wolf about open government and transparency? The town board followed Town Law 64-5, which clearly sets out how town boards are to handle town board vacancies. That's what we did. We didn't break any laws, nor did we do things not required under Town Law 64-5. There doesn't need to be an election now because Monroe County and the town of Webster will have town-wide elections in November of 2019. At that time, the Webster residents will have the opportunity to select a candidate to fulfill the town board seat for 4 more years. This process is no different than what took place a while back when Mr. Bello won election to the county clerk and the Arundecoit Town Board, appointing a very good man as supervisor in Mr. Seeley. They then moved the chairman of the planning board up to the town board seat, all without an election, the same as the Webster Town Board is currently doing. Just this year, the town of Brighton lost the town council seat due to a very untimely death, and they just appointed a Democrat to that seat. In Perrington, the Republican supervisor resigned, and the town board appointed a Republican to be supervisor. In Gates, a Republican supervisor resigned, and the town board appointed a Republican to the new supervisor. Just recently, Mayor Lovely Warren appointed a city court judge that lived in Fairport, Enfield area, and might have had a city address, but she appointed this judge without holding an election. As you can see, all towns in the city of Rochester comply with this New York State law when appointing new board members and judges. And let's talk about our governor a minute. When we had the untimely death of Mrs. Slaughter, did he call for a special election? Did he have people in the district send in resumes so we can look at them and decide? I think the Democratic Party and the Republican parties nominated candidates and we had an election. We didn't have any special election because the governor didn't call for one. After reading my response to their ill-informed statement, the committee replied with their standard fallback response that they want open government and more transparency in Webster government. That is really lame and ill-informed statement at best. My administration continues to strive to be one of the most transparent town governments in all of Monroe County. We have televised town board meetings, zoning board meetings, planning board meetings, along with my monthly electronic meetings. We televise any and all special informational meetings that the town board conducts, along with the town times that is delivered to all residents 3 times a year. I have a social media page on Facebook along with the town of Webster's website and Facebook page, where very important information is updated daily. What more does this committee want? They never explain themselves, just throw out open government and transparency as buzzwords to get your attention without any solutions on their part. I had hoped we would start the first day of 2019 on a better note, instead of more propaganda and misleading claims. Let's try to move forward this year in a positive direction and focus on the good things we can accomplish for Webster and not be so negative all the time. Thank you very much, and that will open to the floor.
Can I have one more?
No, sir.
You can't close an open floor when there's people still wanting to speak.
You're your time.
Ready?
5-minute recess.
You didn't answer my question, Ron. You answered Megan's, you didn't answer mine.
He didn't answer mine. I asked for who voted for Cahill, each individual person. What their vote was.
Are we in recess?
Yes, we are.
You're a joke, Ron. If you're so transparent, why is half the town blocked on your Facebook page? It's social media. You go back and forth. It's a good one. He signed himself out of office.
I'm trying to fill in the blank now, and I'm doing very well.
No, I was really.
The, keeping me in the loop, was that from the recording?
I didn't want to put anything in writing. I had a very good comment to make, but I didn't want to say anything. Oh, right.
Joe, you want the resolution? I'll write it down. One second.
Okay. Short recess is over. We'll go back to regular town business. Consideration to approve purchase orders, bills, prepaid warrants, transfers, and budget amendments as submitted by the Director of Finance, Councilman Abbott. Did the bills today?
I did. I reviewed the bills as submitted by the Director of Finance and found them to be in order and recommend that we pay them as submitted.
Second.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman McCauley? Aye. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Supervisor Nestor?
Aye. I move to pay the prepaid warrants as submitted by the Director of Finance.
Second. Supervisor Nestor?
Aye.
Councilman McCauley? Aye. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
We have a resolution to appoint Councilman Cahill as the town board representative to the Webster Area Fire Council.
So moved.
Second. Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman McCauley? Aye. Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Supervisor Nestor?
Aye. Next, we have a resolution to appoint Councilman Cahill as the town board representative to the library.
I move that we appoint Councilman Cahill as the town board representative to the library.
Second.
Councilman McCauley? Aye. Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Supervisor Nestor?
Aye. I move to appoint Councilman Cahill as the town board representative to the Cable Access Department.
Second.
Supervisor Nestor?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman McCauley? Aye. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Resolution authorizes the superintendent of highways to spend town highway funds budgeted for 2019 in the amount of $1,941,700 for general repairs and improvements on the town of Webster town highways pursuant to the provisions of section 284 of the highway law, and to expand funds for permanent improvements as detailed in the agreement on file in the town clerk's office.
Second.
Supervisor Nestor?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman McCauley? Aye.
Next, we have a resolution authorizing the supervisor to allow the highway department to maintain the town hall parking lot and affiliated service roads up to, but not limited to, snow and ice removal.
So moved. Councilman, excuse me, Councilman McCauley? Aye. Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Supervisor Nesbit.
Aye. A resolution authorizes supervisor to allow the highway department to perform work at and/or for the sewer department and the parks and recreation department at various locations throughout the town.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dalby. Aye. Supervisor Nesbit.
Aye. Resolution to authorize the town of Webster to enter into an intermunicipal agreement and funding with the County of Monroe for 2019 Stop DWI program.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Dalby. Aye. Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Supervisor Nesbit.
Aye. That concludes tonight's town business. We have an announcement that on January the 23rd, it's a Wednesday evening, in this room from 6 to 8 p.m., the committee doing the sandbar project will hold a public informational meeting that evening for the residents of the town of Webster to look at the drawings and discuss with state representatives from the DEC, Corps of Engineers, the Bear Associates who will be hired to take on this project, and you'll be able to ask questions, talk to them about what's going on, and they will have the answers. It will be televised and streamed from 6 to 8 p.m., January 23rd, in this room right here. Barbara, taxes?
All tax bills were mailed on or before December 31st. If you haven't received your tax bill, please do contact our office at 872-7064 or stop in. You can also go to the Monroe County website at www.monroecounty.gov and click on View Pay Taxes, follow the prompts, and please print out the document that says Combined Town and County Bill, and it is a 2-page document, and we need to have page 2 to process your payment. So quite often people come in with only page 1 and they say, I threw it away because I'm only paying the whole thing. But without that second page, it's like any bill you get, you need to have that piece of paper to process your payment.
Okay. Joe, anything on highway right now? Not picking up leaves, I know that.
Yeah, I'm done with that. Just picking up after the windstorm, mostly in Christmas streams.
Okay. Good evening, good night. See you in 2 weeks.